Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to Baby Child and Co. once again. Welcome to our Facebook Live session. This afternoon, we are going to talk about weaning and complementary feeding. We have a registered dietitian nutritionist who is joining us to share her insights on weaning and complementary feeding. She's a very experienced person. Aside being passionate about main job, she's also a volunteer. The first time I heard her speak, she was volunteering for the rheumatology initiative, where I am a member. And the things that I learned then, they've stuck with me up till now. I've been so changed. I mean, it's like I learned so much. My life changed. Is literally, I am not exaggerating. So she really knows her stuff, and she's our guest today. If you have never met me, my name is Dr. Sarah Modwi. I am a pediatrician, and I am also the Chief Executive Officer of Baby Child and Co. What we do on Baby Child and Co, we do child health education. Mainly, we blog and do videos on topics related to child health. So you need to visit our blog, babychildandco.com. You will easily find us. You can also like us on Facebook so that when we are doing things like this, like our live sessions, you'll be notified. When you visit our blog, you should join our parenting club. Our parenting club is our subscription. So what we do on the parenting club is that we guide you week by week according to the age of your baby. So if you have a newborn, we are talking about newborn issues. We are talking about breastfeeding, cord care, and so on and so forth. If your baby is 6 months, we are checking, is your baby starting to sit? If your baby is 6 months, we are checking how complementary feeding, where you started weaning, whether complementary feeding is going on well. So that is what we do in the parenting club. We have also just added on a community forum. On the forum, what we do is that we want to create a place where parents can interact with one another. So when you register for the forum, it's free. There you have the opportunity to ask questions, to answer questions from other parents, and share parenting tips. Basically, that is what we do. So find us, babychildandco.com. Join our parenting club. If you don't have a child yet, you want to know what parents are talking about, you are free to join the community forum. And you are very, very welcome. You can also find our YouTube channel, also called Baby Child and Co. And like our videos, subscribe as well. So that is what we do. If you have just logged on, you can leave a comment, leave a hi, so that we know that you are on. You are still welcome to send us your questions. We've taken some questions already, but you are still welcome to send us your questions. And we will try and attend to them. Please share to your pages as well, so that your friends can see this video. They can also ask questions. They can also hear what we are talking about, because at the end of the day, we want people to hear us. We want it to impact on the way they wean, on the way they do complementary feeding for their babies. Yes, so thank you very much. Our fabulous Pearl is in the studio. If you can see her, hi Pearl, you are welcome. And we will just start
Thank you
right
so
away.
much.
Thank you for joining. I've already introduced her. She's a registered dietitian
Thank you.
nutritionist. She has interest in communicable, non-communicable diseases, diseases that can be modified by diet and lifestyle. She has interest in maternal and child health nutrition, and she volunteers for the rheumatology initiative. She's starting to volunteer for Baby Child and Co as well, and we are so happy to have her. All right. So we are talking about weaning and
Yeah.
complementary feeding. Before we take the questions that have been sent in by our audience. Could you just tell us what weaning is?
Okay. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Sarah, and then our cherished followers. I'm very glad for the opportunity and the time to discuss weaning complementary feeding the appropriate way with our listeners this afternoon. Because I'm excited about this whole topic because I get a lot of mothers barging in, sometimes calling, and then trying to find out what they can do about their child or their children not eating. So it's an exciting opportunity to be here to clear your doubts and then also help you understand some of the nitty-gritties about infant feeding. So when we talk about weaning or complementary feeding, weaning is a period that you start feeding a baby. It could be liquid foods or solid foods. So, when a baby is born, we encourage mothers to breastfeed because we say that breast milk is like the golden standard. There is no feed that can be really compared with the nutrients that a baby gets in breast milk. And infant feeding is like that first 1,000 days of a child's life. It's like a foundation you are laying for the baby. So it's just like building a house. If you are building a house and your foundation is not strong, trust me, no matter the materials you use later, you may have issues with your building later. So infant feeding is like the foundation we lay for the child's adult life. The kind of health outcomes they will have, the kind of developments and the milestones they'll be able to jump or starts with how you feed them. So weaning is when you are introducing a baby to real food. We know that when they are born, the feed they are introduced to is breast milk. Now, when you start introducing them to food, so the porridges, the fruits, pureed fruits and stuff that you start introducing a baby to after you have finished your exclusive breastfeeding, that period is what we call the weaning period. Yeah.
This is so
So,
exciting.
Dr. Saram asked a couple of questions from our audience. I'll speak a little briefly about what goes into the complementary feeding before we start answering the questions that come. So there are a couple of things that parents have to or caregivers have to look out for when you are starting complementary feeding. You don't just start. There are certain things, ideally, the recommendation is that you start introducing your baby to food at 6 months, right? But for some reason, and for some peculiar reasons with certain babies, for some of them, they start at 5 months. But ideally, we say that complementary feeding should be started at 6 months because we believe that by the sixth month, the baby's digestive system, metabolic system, and how the baby's body will be able to utilize the nutrients for the food, the baby's body will be fully ready, right, to handle the food. We are also looking at the sitting position of your baby, whether the baby's neck is able to stand to stand on it, so the baby is able to sit up when you are feeding the baby, so that you avoid any associated dangers that could come with the feeding. It's part of the reason why we say that complementary feeding should be started at the 6th month. Because when you are feeding the child, you're not only looking at the food you are giving, you're looking at how well the baby's system will be able to absorb the nutrients. So you are concerned about the digestive system, the organs, the renal system, and all that. We believe that by the 6th month, all those systems will be ready to be able to deal with the food that you are introducing the baby to. Now, somebody may ask, what kind of food can I introduce my baby to when?
Oh, we seem to have lost our very eloquent registered dietitian nutritionist. I see Joyce Awuku on. She says, "Good afternoon. Wow, what a time to learn again." Um, yes, I see quite a lot of you on as well. Kindly share to your pages so that others can also hear what we are saying, so that others can also learn the right way to do weaning and complementary feeding. But a few interesting things she said, she unfortunately dropped off. She said that when you have a baby, it is like you are building a house, and if the foundation is not strong, then that your house is not going to stand. So when we are feeding our babies, let's remember that we are laying a foundation, and we want the foundation to be strong so that our babies will grow healthy for us. And then she also said this thing that, I mean, you could start weaning your baby at 5 months. Because technically speaking, between 4 and 6 months old, you could start weaning your baby, but the the baby's body will not be ready until 6 months to really take what you are going to feed him or her, because the intestines have to develop to a certain extent to be able to absorb. It's not just about the food going to the baby's mouth and going to the baby's stomach. The intestines must absorb this food that you are feeding the baby so that it can go into the body's bloodstream, the nutrients, to do what they are supposed to do. So before 6 months, you may be feeding all right, but because the baby's body is not ready for the food, and basically you are doing what we will say is cost 90 or something close to that, because before 6 months the intestines are not ready, the kidneys are not ready to excrete a lot of the waste that will come from those foods, and you may be actually just causing giving the organs, for instance the kidney, too much work to do at that time when it is not ready. And also you need to look at your baby's neck. Is the baby's neck able to stand? For instance, when you put the baby in a high back chair, can the baby's neck stand, so that you don't choke your baby, because you're feeding this baby who is lying supine and the neck is not able to stand. You have started too early. So it's good that we wait for 6 months before we start feeding the baby. In fact, even when we wait till 6 months before we start feeding, at 6 months, the when we start feeding, the baby absorbs very little. So from 6 months onward, it's more of taste for the baby. The baby is going to absorb very little. So imagine if you even started before 6 months. So as much as possible, she was saying that what we recommend for babies before 6 months is breast milk. So we feed breast milk, and then when it's 6 months, we start complementary feeding. And we're just about to learn how to do it right before she dropped off. So I also see Selikem Kofi, who's giving us a heart on the line. Thank you for joining us. Kindly share to your page so that your friends can also see what we are talking about. If you know somebody with a small baby, they can also see what we are talking about. And while we wait for Pearl to join us, I just want to say again that we are doing this under the auspices of Baby Child and Co. Baby Child and Co. is an organization that is into child health education. So we have a blog, babychildandco.com. You will easily find it. When you find it, depending on how old your child is, or whether maybe you don't have a child, you just want to learn about parenting and stuff like this, you can join the community forum. There you can interact with parents, you can ask your questions and have your questions answered, or also answer other parents' questions and share tips. If you would like us to guide you, you can join the parenting forum. You can join the parenting club. And in the parenting club, we give you guidance week by week according to the age of your baby, or even if you are in late pregnancy, you can also join. And then we give you that guidance week by week via email, via text, and we are also available to take your recommendations and any other thing that will help to make parenting easy for you. Yes. So that is what we were saying. I am just hoping that the network permits and then she joins us very quickly, so that we can exhaust the topic before time is up. If this is the first time you are meeting me, I'm just introducing myself again. My name is Dr. Sarah Mwodwi. I'm so passionate about children. I have worked with children since 2012. And then now I'm a pediatrician. I've been a pediatrician since 2016. So I don't consider myself the most experienced, but I have really worked with babies and children for many, many years. I'm familiar with most of their issues. I've worked in Accra, the city part of Accra. I've also worked in the rural part of Accra, and then I've worked outside Accra as well. So I'm familiar with the issues in the urban areas, the issues in the rural areas as well. And then we give you information that you can trust. Yes, so invite your friends to find out what Baby Child and Co is about, so that we can make parenting easy for them. Oh, it's unfortunate I'm still waiting for Pearl. So I think she had prepared to answer some of the questions that our yes, she's coming back on. Thankfully, she's coming back on. If you just give her a minute, she'll be here. Yes, she had prepared to answer some of the questions that our audience had sent in. Hi, we are so happy to have you back.
Hello.
You gave us a
So
scare for
sorry.
a moment. That's
So
okay.
sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was talking about some of the foods you could start the baby on with. Every baby is different. So there are some times when so you go like, oh, when Asimesi was second child, but every baby is different. So how your first child took the complementary feeding journey will be totally different from how the second child takes it. And it's a journey, it's a learning journey for them. Even for us adults, when you are trying a new food, you struggle. I'm sure Dr. Seram, you've also had a time when you were trying to try a new food and you struggled with it for some time. So parents
Even
have
for
to,
my baby, even
yes,
for my babies, yes.
yes. So we have to understand and accept that this is a journey for the children. It's a learning period. Just like how you take them to school and then they learn ABCD. Some people will take a week to be able to learn it freely. Some people will take a month. So the same thing goes with the feeding. When you introduce the child to a new food, you have to accept that the child is now having to adjust and adapt to the new taste you are introducing. Now, there are a few pointers I would like for parents to note when you are starting or trying the complementary feeding for your baby. You have to consider, first of all, you have to consider the dentition of your baby. Because at 6 months, the baby doesn't have a lot of teeth in the mouth. At worst, some of them just have about two. Some have none. And so when you are giving any food, you have to consider some of those things. You have to consider the texture, the taste, the smell. Mothers sometimes will just
So
put
hold on a
so
bit.
many things,
Just
combine
hold on
so
a bit,
many
Pearl.
things together because, of course, we talk about giving.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted you to hold on a bit. You spoke about considering the dentition of the baby, and you explained that it has to do with the teeth of the
Hello.
baby. I just want our audience to appreciate that when you are talking about dentition, you are talking about teeth. And then you went on to talk about the texture of the food. Can you explain that a bit?
Yes. So thank you. When I talk about the texture, I'm looking at the state in which the feed or the food is. So it could, whether it's in a solid state, whether it's in a liquid state, whether you are preparing it in a pureed form or you are blending the food. Because, for example, we say children should also be given fruits, right? So if you are going to give something like a banana or an apple to a 6-month-old baby who doesn't have any teeth in their mouth, how can you make it in such a way that the baby can still consume this and then have the full benefit? So if it is banana you want to give the baby, and looking at your baby's teeth, there is nothing in the baby's mouth, you will have to consider either blending it or putting it in a pureed form such that the
Yeah.
baby can accommodate it. Yeah, so that's what I mean when I talk about the texture of the food.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I was talking about the kind of things you could start off with. Unfortunately, the line went off. So I was talking about the fact that some babies do not like the quick foods. It doesn't mean that you have to keep forcing and forcing. Some mothers actually do force feeding, which we are totally against, because recently we saw what force feeding led to. So as for force feeding is a no, 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 no for us. Unfortunately, babies cannot talk, right? Their only way of communicating to you is to cry. So sometimes caregivers are tempted to think that once your baby is crying, the baby is going to stop crying, and then they will give you something to eat. But the truth is that the baby can still cry and then you can give the baby something.
Okay, we will give Pearl just a second to reconnect. She's actually not in Accra, and she's doing this for us from far away, and we are having network issues. So I see. Wow, I see Kenneth Kwame Ajekum, who is greeting us. Hi, Kenneth, and he's saying we are doing great work. I see Adriana Nyako also on as well. Belinda Sena Duku has come on, has liked. Sena Kaja has come on, has shared our video, and we are so grateful for that. Please keep sharing our videos for us. And then there's a question from Raphael. We may forget this question. So, Pearl, I hope you will take note. Raphael says that, Raphael Epijemfi, a colleague, says that, can we touch on the recommendations for the feeding of HIV exposed infants? I know it wasn't part of our original plan, but we encourage viewers to bring in their questions. So let's keep that in mind so that we can address it before our time is up. Yes, Pearl, can you take it away?
Okay, so thank you. When it comes to feeding an HIV exposed baby, the recommendation is that before 6 months, the baby should be exclusively breastfed, especially if the mother of that baby is taking her ARVs and not just taking it anyhow. This should be a mother who is taking the ARVs or the HIV medications as she is expected to reduce the risk of exposing the baby to the infection. So ideally, the baby can be breastfed exclusively, because we believe that if, but first of all, before I continue, that you, the health provider or the practitioner, will have to discuss the feeding option with the mother, because we can recommend something for the mother, but as to whether she can sustain whatever you are recommending for her, whether she can follow through it, is another thing. So you have to have a dialogue with the mother, explain the options to her, and then help her to make a choice which would help the baby. So we don't force a particular feeding option on the HIV exposed, the HIV positive mother. You need to have a good dialogue with her, explain the options to her for her to make a choice. But then we recommend that such babies should be exclusively breastfed, because we believe that breast milk, like I said earlier on, is like the golden standard. It provides all the essential nutrients that the baby requires for the first 6 months, including immune protection, and then a whole lot of other nutrients with the brain development, and then how you are even setting the baby's DNA off on. So the mother can do exclusive breastfeeding. And then when it's time for the complementary feeding too, we recommend a 4-star diet, including nutrient-dense meal options for the baby. Before this question came in, I was still talking about some of the things you want to consider when you are starting the complementary feeding. So you need to consider the dentition of your baby. You need to consider the fact that whatever feeding options you are going to choose, are these foods that are readily available in your community or your environment? If you choose foods that the mother cannot easily get, it means that you cannot sustain it, or even economically. If you go for foods that are so expensive, right, and you can't buy it any longer, it will be difficult to sustain it. So it will be good you consider your economic situation as well, and then also choose foods that are locally available, that are easily around you, that you can easily find, right? And then also it is good that you expose your baby to the different types of taste. Because here is the thing, on our tongue, we have different taste buds on the tongue. Sweet taste, we have bitter taste, we have sour taste. And so you have to expose your baby to all these different tastes, but gradually. And so when you are starting the complementary feeding, it's one feed at least 2 or 3 days before you introduce another one. You are doing this also to prevent your baby from possibly getting allergies that you may not be aware of. And so if you introduce one feed at a time and the baby has any allergies to this food, you can easily identify it and then take the baby to see your pediatrician. But if you are introducing about 4 or 5 foods at the same time and your baby is allergic to any of them, you wouldn't even be able to identify it early. So it's
Yes,
better you start one feed at a time.
yes. So, Pearl, you are talking about being able to pick up allergens, those
Yeah.
things that can cause a reaction in the baby. And so you're advising that we start one food at a time.
Yeah.
But what about Winnie mix? Because a lot of parents use Winnie mix, and then sometimes even the cereal, we use two different kinds of cereal: a little rice, a little maize. And then when it comes to the protein, the legumes, that one too, people may mix a little soy, a little something, you know. So what about the Winnie mix? Sometimes they have like 5 components. What about that one?
Yeah. So with the Winimix, um, Winimix is just a combination of cereals for the baby. Now, here is the thing. Ideally, when you are preparing the Winimix, it's 3 parts of carbohydrate to 1 part of protein, meaning that you can use 3 cups of your carbohydrates and then 1 cup of your protein. So if you are choosing to use um, soya beans and then granules, you can do 1/2 cup each of your soya bean and your granules, and then your carbohydrates could be your maize, and alternatively you could use wheat or brown rice. Brown rice, because the brown rice has more zinc than the white rice, and then it also
Okay.
has a lot more fiber than
Okay.
white rice. And
Yes.
so combining so many of them at the same time will overwhelm your baby's organs. Mind you, your baby is not a miniature adult. That's the mistake we always make. Your baby is not a miniature adult. Today I'm talking for the babies. They can't talk for themselves. So don't treat them as though they are miniature adults. They may be mini you, but their organs are still growing, their organs are still developing. So please don't overwhelm your baby's organs with so many things at the same time. Some mothers will put together oats, rice, maize, the granules, they'll add fish, they'll add soya bean. It's too much for the baby's kidneys, right?
Okay,
Because at
Pearl.
six
So let's
months,
take a question.
yeah.
Let's take another question at this stage. Well, there's a comment. Zul Bugri has come on and liked what we are doing. Thank you so much for liking. Please share to your friends, share to your pages. Joyce again says, very educative, good job. And Sifas has a question for us. He thanks
Okay.
us for the good work we are doing for God and country. And he says it's a quick one, but the answer is not a quick one. He says, what are some of the impacts of complementing breast milk with lactogen within the first 1 to 6 months after delivery? Complementing breast milk with lactogen. So let's say complementing breast milk with formula so that we don't offend any brand. Complementing breast milk with formula within the first 1 to 6 months after delivery. What are the implications?
Okay, so that's what we usually would term misfeeding. So a mother may start breastfeeding and then along the line may decide to introduce formula to the baby. Now, here is what happens. The combination of the formulation of breast milk is totally different from the formulation of formula. So for some babies, when you start doing the misfeeding, because there are two different tastes, your baby may either become used to the formula, which a lot of times sometimes does happen. They become used to the formula and they reject the breast milk. Also, when you are doing the misfeeding, sometimes you may notice that your baby may be having constipation or may be having gastrointestinal issues, depending on what formula you decide to use. It will amaze you that sometimes some of the mothers have no idea what kind of infant milk they should use. And so they use things like even non-dairy milk for babies. And that is where the malnutrition starts. And that is where the renal issue starts, because the solute balance in the infant formula or the infant milk is totally different from what you get in an adult's milk.
So
And
just
so,
hold on a bit. Hold on a bit. She keeps mentioning renal issues. So I'm a pediatrician who is so interested in renal issues, but I have learned to say kidney issues. So kidney issues, what she's saying basically is she's talking about the kidney. She's saying that there may be too much salt in the formula for the kidney of the baby to handle because the kidneys are still developing. They are not fully developed when the baby is born. After birth, the kidneys are still developing. So formula may have too much salt for the baby's kidneys. And then she said this other thing that I need her to explain. She's saying that sometimes some mothers, we all love our babies. We want to do the best for the babies. And sometimes we see something and then the name is nice and the price is nice and we want to give it to our baby because we love our babies so much. We want them to be the best. So sometimes we give them non-dairy milk. Please, Pearl, could you explain what that means?
so non-dairy milk is a type of milk. It's basically very low in fat, and the amount of nutrients that you would get from the regular um unskimmed milk or the regular milks that we know. I want to try and come down to the level
Please do
where
so.
our listeners can understand. So when you take milk like well, I didn't want to mention brands, but the liquid milks that we use at home. Sometimes you see full cream and you see skimmed and semi-skimmed. They all have meanings, right? For the non-dairy milk, it is formulated. Mostly we recommend it for people who may be managing weight issues or who may have issues with bad fats in their system that we are trying to control. So for such people, because the non-dairy milk has very low levels of fat, we want to recommend such milk for them. But a baby who is still growing, whose brain needs all the DHAs, right, and healthy fats, you don't want to push that kind of milk for your baby, because then it will be way lower. The nutrients you'll be getting from that will be way lower than what your baby's body needs. So we'll say your baby will be undernourished, because when you take the non-dairy milk, the amount of calcium, the amount of iron, the amount of minerals, certain nutrients that you get from it is way lower than what your baby would usually require. So if you are feeding that kind of milk to your baby can easily be undernourished. become more nourished. Yes. Like I want to emphasize again here that infant feeding is like your baby's foundation. I'm being passionate about this because it breaks my heart sometimes when you have babies coming in with malnutrition and even dying, right? Something that we could have easily stopped. Something that we could have easily prevented. So I'm pleading with caregivers, mothers, please make a little time. I know it is tiring doing the complementary feeding amidst our busy schedules. But I always say that your baby is like it's like getting a property
Comments are
for future
coming
use,
in.
or your baby is like an investment for you. The way you handle the baby is how from 30 years from now, 40 years from now, we need people who will still be the medical doctors we see around. We need people who will be our future leaders.
So we have
Yeah.
lots of
So
comments
so
coming
if we
in.
don't feed the
Our
babies
viewers
right
are
from
just
the start,
loving
we are
themselves.
heading for doom for
Hold on a
ourselves.
minute,
So
Phil.
let's make I don't know if you have any questions before I move on to the next.
Great, great. Just hold on a minute. So our listeners, our viewers are just loving you, Pearl. There is Julius who says that she's giving you two hearts.
Okay.
It says, I mean, he's just loving what you are doing. He says it's very educative. Nana Ayim says we are giving top key messages. Dietitian Nee, who is watching from Ghana, and also giving you a heart, Auntie Pearl. Everybody is just loving what you are doing this afternoon. And if you are watching us on replay as well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. You can still comment even if you're on replay. You can share this to your pages, your groups, even if you're watching us on replay. Thank you so much for joining. Delali has also shared. Kekeli Adonu has tagged Labi McDonald. Icelina Gray, hi, you are here. Thank you so much for the support. Those are my colleagues. Thank you so much for the support. Yes. So could we take some of the questions that have come in from our viewers we are yet to address? You have already talked about. So yes, Pearl has dropped off a bit. She will be back. I know it's unfortunate. She's doing this from outside Accra. Don't just hold on. Don't go away and keep sharing. If you've just joined, let me take this break to introduce myself once again. My name is Dr. Sarah Mbodi. I have worked with children for many years. I'm a pediatrician. And Pearl was saying how passionate she is about infant feeding. I am also that passionate about infant feeding. We need to help our mothers to be able to do exclusive breastfeeding. It is hard work. So a lot of times it's very difficult for them. The fathers, we plead with you, take off some of the housework so that the mothers can have time. It's hard work. Sometimes throughout the night, you are not able to sleep and it feels as if you are feeding round the clock. It feels as if all you spend your 24 hours doing is to breastfeed your baby. It's such a tough job. So we plead with you, the fathers, the in-laws, the grandmas, please help. And then the grandmas, sometimes they are so quick to recommend. It's coming from a place of love, I know, because they want to do the best for their grandchildren, but they are so quick to recommend complementary feeding to the mothers. You know, when the babies keep crying and things, but I keep saying that babies cry for so many reasons aside hunger. It is not only hunger that makes the babies cry. So we plead with all our viewers, all the stakeholders. There are many stakeholders: the daddies, the uncles, the grandmothers, the aunties, so many stakeholders to help the mothers to be able to exclusively breastfeed for 6 months, and then we can start complementary feeding right at 6 months. Yes. So dietitian Lee is saying that Julius, please support your wife. Okay, we hope that he will heed to our plea and support his wife to be able to do exclusive breastfeeding. Yes, I see. Pearl is just coming back on. So she has addressed the first question, which is how early we can start weaning. She mentioned some common weaning foods. My takeaway is that don't try anything that is too exotic, because if it's exotic, you may not be able to find it. And then it may be very expensive. You know, when things are coming from elsewhere, they tend to be expensive, but they are local foods. And she said something that, well, I didn't know. It doesn't really make me a bad doctor, but I didn't know. You know, I have never used brown rice for my winning mix, but I've always known that brown rice is more nutritious. I've known that it has zinc, it has fiber. So that is an idea that has never occurred to me. So instead of incorporating the white rice, which is less nutritious, more expensive, and has less fiber, especially for our children who deal with constipation, we can put in brown rice into our winning mix. That is an idea that, I mean, this is the thing about Pearl. She tells you all these things that you never thought about, and I mean, she makes such a difference in what you are doing. Yes. So the next question from our viewers for us is, okay, so dietitian Lee says local rice too. Yes, we like local rice, but the thing about the local rice is that it's polished. So though we want to eat local rice, we know that the brown rice is more nutritious. I mean, local rice can be brown and local rice can be polished. So I think that's where the thing is. It's local
Dr.
rice, brown rice, yes.
Dr. Sayram, just to add on to what I said earlier on, the reason I'm mentioning the brown rice is because the brown rice has a lot more zinc in terms of percentage. When you compare the the white rice to the brown rice has a lot more zinc. So that's an additional nutrient that when comparing the two, you may get a lot more from the brown rice than
Definitely.
the white
Definitely. And
rice.
we know the benefits of zinc. We know that zinc is very good for our baby skin. We all love it when our babies have nice, smooth, velvety skin. Zinc is good for their
And
skin. Zinc is also good for protecting against diarrhea and upper
yeah,
respiratory infections. When COVID came, everybody was rushing for zinc. So zinc actually nowadays, zinc is called the super vitamin because it has so many functions in almost all aspects of our body. So that is just another thing to add to what our marvelous, fabulous Pearl is talking about. Now let's take this question. What do you do if your child likes only one food? You are doing complementary feeding, and this baby is going to eat only one
okay,
food, 5 times a
okay.
day, one food, nothing else. What do you do?
Okay, so here is what you should do. First of all, just be patient with your baby, right? Sometimes I tell the mothers who come to me or call me about these issues that when your baby is not eating your food, sometimes you should check a few things. The way you prepare the food, the recipe, what you are adding to the food. Because, like I said, we sometimes assume the babies to be miniature adults. We assume they don't have taste. So we just combine anything and expect them to take. And because, of course, they can't talk, they are just there crying and accepting anything that comes their way. So mothers sometimes will break raw egg. Can you imagine? They break raw egg into porridge for the baby and expect the baby to take it because egg is nutritious. Ask yourself whether you can be able to take, you'll be able to take raw egg in your porridge. If you cannot take that, your baby cannot take that as well. So what I would advise that mother to do is that please keep on trying, right? Just keep on trying because if your baby is sick, it's a lot of headache for you. And like
Yeah.
I said, if you are building a house and your foundation is weak, it's going to go through the baby's life cycle. So the way you are feeding your baby now is going to determine what kind of adolescent life the baby will have. It's going to determine how the baby's adult life would be like. So you have to take it seriously. The first 1,000 days, that's from the time you became pregnant with your baby till when your baby turns 2 years. It's a very, very important period for your baby because that is when most of the development around your baby, the milestones are going to happen, right? So the brain development. So if you have paid attention, most of the programs that we do across the globe are targeted around under 5 children. Have you ever asked yourself why, when it comes to mass immunization, when it comes to certain interventions, we target the under 5 children? Because there are certain things about this first stage of their life that cannot be reversed. So if you are able to So the way the brain is wired right from the beginning, when your baby turns 19, you cannot reverse certain things. And so the way you are feeding your baby now, just think about it in this way. It's like having a plant in your garden. The way you water the plant is going to determine the kind of fruits your plant will bear. So if your baby is growing well, you want your baby to be an intelligent baby. When they start going to school, you should look at what they are feeding the baby. When they start going to school, you should have good learning abilities. You should look at what they are feeding the baby right from the start. So you should keep trying, and then you can also connect. I mean, there are a lot of professional dietitians and nutritionists who are trained with appropriate infant feeding practices who can guide you. Because sometimes when you take the history, you realize that there are certain things that may be going on that the mother may not be aware. So you can connect, and then we see how best we can help your baby.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent, very, very excellent, Pearl. A
So
lot of
you
people are
definitely have to keep trying. Like I said, you try one new food at least 2 or 3 times before you introduce another one, because
Yes, a lot of people are coming on. They are liking you. We have Abdul Majid who has come and has liked what you are doing. Um, Iceland says that exactly. She was reacting to your comment about sometimes the food not being nice. She says exactly. Sometimes the food is just not nice. Yes, I think we all tend to make that mistake. That the babies maybe they can't really, they don't know what it is they are eating. So open your mouth, then you push it in, bam, they swallow. Okay, but she has a question. The question is, I think I'll hold on with the question till Pearl comes on. She's just dropped again. All right. So those who are just joining us, my name is Dr. Saira Modri. I'm Chief Executive Officer of this organization called Baby Child and Co. What we do is child health education. So we are available to talk to you about any topic on child health in your wherever you want to invite us to come and talk to you. It's a passion. That is what we want to do, because we want to have healthy babies and healthy children. And we also do school health. So if you want us to come to your school, if you have a school and you want us to come and do something for the health of the kids, we do that as well. We give talks, and wherever you invite us, we will come and talk to you about the children's health, what you can do to make it easy for the children. Yes. And while Pearl is off, let me react to some of the things she said. She talked about most of the organs of the baby still developing even after birth. Yes, that is true. So until about 2 years, the baby's brain is developing very fast as well. So when the babies are malnourished, when they are not getting the right nutrients, you find that the brain development is also slow. So it's not just about, is my baby looking tall and is my baby looking fat? And mind you, too, there's this trend among parents. We all want fat babies, and that may not be right. The baby's weight must be appropriate for the baby's sex and age. So we have curves in our child health record books. If the baby is over the curve, if the baby is too fat, that is also a problem, because right now we are talking about the double burden of nutrition. We have undernutrition, they are not getting enough nutrients, and then we have overnutrition, they are getting too much nutrients. So what should guide you is, how is my baby's weight compared to the curves that have been drawn in the child health record book? Yes, Pearl is still off. I know she will join. We have dietitian Obing Esther says that's great discussion. Thank you for your feedback. Kindly share this to your page, your news feed, share to your friends. And so we are doing this under the auspices of Baby Child and Co. I talk about child health education. Our blog is called babychildandco.com. So you can find our blog. When you do, we have so many articles that you can browse through and educate yourself on what you can do for your baby or your child at various ages. But if you join the parenting club, we guide you week by week. We tell you which of the resources are relevant at whichever age your baby is. And then we also have a community forum. You can register for the forum, it's free. And there you will get to meet other parents. You can ask your questions, you can answer parents' questions, you can share parenting tips. is a place for parents to interact, but we are also on. So we are also on, we are watching, we are listening, we are smiling, we are encouraging you. Yes, but it's basically a place for parents to interact. But if you join the Teen Club, we will offer you guidance, personalized guidance into the age child week by week. All this is free. We are passionate. We want the right things to be done for our babies. When I contacted Pearl, I actually gave her a different topic. She said, no, 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 no. You must start right before you build on. So she wants to talk about complementary feeding, how to do it right. Yes. So that's what we are doing. Pearl is still offline. She's going to come on, but have questions. I'm happy to take the questions, and then once she comes on, we will answer them for you. Eliana Nana says, "Well done, ladies. This is useful information. Thank you so much for the feedback, Eliana." We are still waiting for Pearl to come on. So many people are liking what we are doing. And they are sharing our posts, and we are so grateful for that. We are doing it for you to share, for people to view. Without you, if you are not sharing, we would be very sad, because then nobody is hearing all these things that we are talking about. Yes. Yes, so you can still leave your questions. You can still post your comments. We are seeing them. We are just for Pearl to come on. Amen. Danku says thank you. Delali says hello. Delali, hi, hello. I hope you can see the work you have done. McAfee says, how do we join the club? Please, we would like to join the club. Okay, so the thing about the parenting club is that we want to give you guidance according to whether you are expecting a baby from late pregnancy through the birth. So whether you have a baby. So if you don't have a baby yet, but you just want to learn, you can go on the blog, or you join the forum, the community forum. That is where you can see what other parents are talking about. That is when you can interact with them, ask questions. So to join any of this, the blog is called babychildandco.com. Just like it is written on our screen, Baby Child and Co is written there as one word, but the site is called babychildandco.com. Once you go there and click on the menu tab, everything we have to offer is there. And if you would like to contact us as well, you contact us through the blog, babychildandco.com. You can contact us. You can talk about sponsoring what we do, supporting us in what we do. Because actually, though it's free, I mean, these things, you always need some support to keep going. If you have any products that you want us to review for you, you can contact us. Just go to babychildandco.com. Also on Facebook, Baby Child and Co. You can send us a message through there. But if you want to join the parenting club or the forum, you have to go on the blog called babychildandco.com. There's one there you feel it is free, and then we will be in touch with you. Yes. So we're still waiting for Pearl. Delali is waving. We are still waiting for Pearl to join us, and she will come on in a bit, and then we can continue. Yes. So this is Baby Child and Co. Find us on Facebook. Go to babychildandco.com on the web. Fill the form for our parenting club if you have a child or you're expecting a child. Otherwise, join our parenting forum so that you can see the things that other parents are talking about. You can react to posts. Oh, Pearl is taking a long time to come back on, and we are so sorry about this. So let me try, even though I am not a dietitian, I think I'll just go on with some of the questions that have come from you. And then when she comes back on, we can continue from there. So what do you do if your baby refuses to stop breastfeeding? And this is a common complaint among mothers who have done exclusive breastfeeding. They realize that when they want to introduce new foods, the babies find it hard to accept. And that's one, the antidote is just patience. Really, a 6-month-old baby who has started complementary feeding, that is not where the baby is going to get his nutrients from. The intestine is still developing. So what you need to do is just be patient as you introduce the foods. When the baby begins to get a lot of nutrition from other foods, you find that invariably the breastfeeding will come down a bit. Okay, so Pearl has come on, and since she's the expert in this field, I don't want to take the wind out of her sail. So, Pearl, hi, thank you for coming back. And we were taking some of the questions from our viewers. And
Okay.
a viewer asked, what do you do if your baby refuses to stop breastfeeding? If you could answer that question for her.
Okay, so the first question I would ask is, how old is your baby? Because the recommendation is that your baby should breastfeed to about a year and a half or 2 years. So my question first of all will be, how old is your baby? If your baby falls within the age range where we recommend breastfeeding should be stopped, then you can go ahead and stop the breastfeeding. But you have to start off slowly by creating a feeding schedule for your baby, because whatever you start your baby off with is what the baby will become used to. So creating a routine for your baby is also very important. Teaching the baby certain things. I realize most mothers do not really have a schedule or a routine for feeding their babies. They do it as and when the baby probably cries, and then they will use food to comfort the baby. So you may have to create a feeding schedule for your baby and make sure that, especially for the evenings, you feed your baby well. You could feed your baby with some pureed fruits. So you could blend some apple or some banana or some pawpaw, depending on how old your baby is. You can feed the baby with some fruits in addition to the main meals that you'll be feeding the baby, so that at least you are sure that in the evening, the amount of calories that your baby requires, he is getting. And then gradually, you could change the sleeping routine for your baby. For example, the baby could sleep with the father, so that the breast is still not close to the baby, because if you want to take if the
The
baby
fathers
is
want to enjoy their sleep. Oh, the fathers want to enjoy their sleep. They don't want
if
crying
the
babies.
baby is of age and you want to take the breast milk away, and the baby is lying close to the breast every night, it will be difficult to do it. So you may have to find ways and means of doing that. But first of all, you have to create a routine for feeding the baby, and then introduce other foods to replace the breast milk. So for example, you could add on some formula to the baby's feeds.
Okay, okay. Yes,
Yeah.
great. Thank you very much for the answer. Um, so yes, we have a question. Just a minute, and let me take that one. Um, okay, so Bismarck Baggio has come on, says great presentation, Doc. Yes, so I mean great presentation to Pearl. I'm just facilitating. Pearl is fantastic, it's fabulous. And yes, McAfee Wise says that he wants his wife to join the parenting club. Of course, definitely. We want people to join the parenting club. That's the only way what we are doing can impact lives. And also, if you would like to volunteer for Baby Child and Co., if you would like to blog for us, we are more than happy, especially the allied health workers. So allied health, we have dietitians, we have occupational therapists, we have physiotherapists, we have uh, counselors, we have psychologists. I mean, we are more than happy. The what we want to do, we want it to be so impactful, and then it is not just the mainstream medicine, it's not just the pediatrician, because there are so many other specialties who need to come on board so that our babies can be given the holistic care that they deserve. Yes, and um there was a question. Yes, there was a question. I was waiting for you. Iceland says, how about soy milk? So this question came in when you were talking about non-dairy milk. That was when this question came in. So how about soy milk?
So when it comes to dairy products, especially milk, we have the adult milk and then we have the infant milk. The way they are, the nutrients you get from each of them is being formulated to suit the baby's organs. So earlier on, I was talking about solute balance in the different types of milk. When you pick the adult milk, certain nutrients are higher in it than what you will get from the infant milk, because for the infant, we are looking at the organs basically, whether the organs will be able to handle whatever it is that you are giving the baby. So when it comes to soya milk, I would say that it should be given to the baby after 2 years.
Okay.
Yes, soya milk
Thank you.
should be introduced because we consider soya milk as an adult milk. So you should start giving that to your baby after 2 years.
Okay. Okay.
Under 2 years, you can go for the different types of infant formula or infant milk that we have. But
Okay.
above 2 years, that is when you can start using the soya milk. Another thing I want to talk about is sugar and honey.
So Amale Osisiao is on, and she's going to love this so much. I mean, she made a comment before you go. She says, "I love this. Go girls. Food is medicine. When we get it right from the beginning, we make it easier. But it is just beginning when you know it's right." So she's so passionate about food. I mean, she's passionate about sugar, and so it's just the right place for her to be at this time. And please, Belle, take it away. If you have other questions or comments, kindly put it on, because we allotted 1 hour, and then it's been a bit over an hour because we keep breaking on and off. So please put on your questions, your comments on now, and then we are in the last few minutes of the presentation, and then we can close. And you can still keep sharing. And if you are now joining us, or you are watching on replay, you are welcome. You can still put your comment, you can put your question. Even if we don't answer it here, we'll find a way of answering it for you, because we really want you to benefit from what it is that we are doing. Yes, Pearl.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about sugar and honey. Now, when some mothers start introducing their babies to honey right from the start, sometimes right after delivery, there is this superstition or myth around honey where people believe that it is honey that makes children bright or um, makes their brain develop very well. It is a misconception. So for honey, I would say that you can only introduce your baby to honey when they are 2 years, because there's a bacteria in honey that babies or children less than 2 years, the digestive system cannot fully digest that particular bacteria well. And so if you introduce it too early to the baby, you are exposing the baby to certain infections from the honey. And so it will be better you wait till your baby system is fully matured to be able to digest well the byproducts from the honey before you start introducing it to him or her. Another thing I will talk about is also sugar. I earlier on mentioned different types of taste on the tongue. And so when you are starting the complementary feeding, it's an opportunity for you to introduce your baby to all the different types of taste, not just sweet taste. Because once you introduce your baby to only sweet taste, to the baby, food is all about sweet things. So they'll only be tuned towards the sweet things, right? Which sometimes some do not offer so much nutrients to the baby. A lot of the sweet things that, like the sugary drinks that we give them, are just empty calories. The amount of nutrients you get from them are very less. And a lot of research now is showing us that too much sugar in the body causes inflammation. So you don't want to expose the baby's body to inflammation right from that early stage. So I would recommend and encourage parents to take out sugar from the early stages of feeding. You try introducing a fruit rather in the porridge than adding sugar or honey to the baby's food, especially those who are turning 6 months and you are starting them off. It's a learning process for them. So once you teach them that food can be, your baby food can be mixed with banana or apple, and it will still taste sweet. You don't need to add sugar from that stage to your baby's food, and the baby will become okay with it. And mind you,
Great, great.
The
Okay.
formula that you are adding to the food also has a bit of sugar in it. So really, you don't need to add too much sugar to the baby's food.
Excellent
Also,
presentation. Yes, go
I
on.
I I also want to talk about something that parents usually come with a lot of times. Talking about my baby doesn't eat much. When your baby turns 6 months, your baby's stomach size is just about 200 mils. And mind you, your baby is still breastfeeding. So if you take two ladles of porridge and give to your baby and expecting the baby to finish it, please, you are overfeeding the baby, you are abusing the baby. So please consider the stomach size of your baby before you give the food the amount. Because ideally at 6 months, they don't need so much food. At a feed, they need about just 2 tablespoons at a feed at 6 months. That's how much their stomach at that time can take. So if fine, and the babies are different, they are coming in with different sizes and different weights. So if your baby is able to take more than the 2 tablespoons, hooray! But don't go pushing two ladles of porridge or a cup full of porridge to your baby. Hold the nose, have people tie the hands
As for
behind their
holding the
back
nose,
like
as
they are
for holding
prisoners.
the nose, no,
So
no, no.
that one, I'm begging you on behalf of the babies. They cannot talk. So today I'm being their spokesperson. They beg you, please don't force feed them. The
Yeah,
feeding time should be a fun time. Everybody likes food, and food brings excitement to us.
yeah.
Food it brings love to us, so we shouldn't make them feel like feeding should be like an imprisonment. It shouldn't be something that
Not at
you
all.
bring around them and they will start crying. They should
Not at
enjoy
all.
it. It should be
Not at
fun.
all. Yeah, yeah.
So please take your time when feeding them. Let it be fun. Be creative about it. Make sure that you are introducing the different food groups to your baby. So your vegetables, the fruits, the proteins, the whole grains. So your wheat, your oats in a texture that the baby can accommodate. Very important. So when we talk of the proteins, it's not just the milk you are adding to the baby's food. You can actually give your baby chicken. You can give your baby fish. You can give your baby beef. Just make sure that it's in a texture that your baby can accommodate. So you can blend your steamed chicken into a paste and keep it in the freezer for your baby's food. You can make your fish into a powdered form and add it to your baby's food. So it's not just milk, because when we talk about proteins for the babies, some mothers straight away just go to the dairy products, but there's more to it than just the dairy products. You should let your baby have variety. I will say again, in building a house, you need different materials, quality
Yeah,
materials to build a strong house. So your
definitely.
baby's house or your baby's body needs quality nutrients, different food groups to make sure that it's building the system well. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so, 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 so much, Pearl. And we are just sorry that there were these breaks in between, but it was nothing that we could have, it wasn't within our power.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify something I said about Amelosi. So she's on Facebook doing some work. We are talking about children, but she's also doing some work for adults. So that's why when the sugar came in, I remembered her because she had made up an article about, she had put up a post about us not it's not advisable for us to eat sugar. And then I
Yeah.
also went in and put in the baby's bit that yes, don't give sugar to your babies when you start weaning complementary feeding. Don't give sugar to your babies until they are 2. So she's also, you can find her on Facebook, Amelosi Siao, and then I'm sure she'll invite you to join her group. I've quite forgotten the name of the group, even though I'm part of it. So if you find Amelosi, I'm sure she will connect you. So thank you so much, Pearl. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful that you have done this free of charge. I'm not paying for your Wi-Fi or anything. Thank you so much. And she will come again. Like I said, this is not the topic I gave her, but she said, no, we have to start right before we build on. So she will come again. So you can follow us on Facebook. Just find Baby Child and Co. one word and like us. And then when we have events, you will get to know. Also, visit our blog, babychildandco.com. When you do, if you have a baby or a child or you're expecting, join our parenting club. And if you want a community of parents, to talk with parents, to interact with them, ask questions, answer their questions, and share tips, please also join the community forum. You register for it and then you join. We are also on there, but it's more of a place for parents to interact. So we are in the background, but join. Let's make it lively so that we can build each other up, we can support each other. If you are doing anything about children and you like us to give a talk, if you want Pearl to come and talk to you about nutrition, she's really good, isn't she? Yes, just go through me and then you will find her. And then if you are doing school health, you can contact Baby Child and Co as well. If you have a product, if you want to give us some support, just go to Baby Child and Co on Facebook or babychildandco.com, and then you click on the contact us. You find our ways of contacting us, email or WhatsApp or ordinary call, and then we will collaborate with you. We are so happy that you have joined us. Kekeli has left another comment, says this is informative. Joyce, thank you so much for all the work you are doing to support Baby Child and Co. We wish we could go on and on and on, but
Yeah.
we have to come to an end. If you are watching us on replay, we are so excited. You can still share it to your pages and your groups as well. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for all the good feedback, the great feedback we have had. We also like negative feedback. You can bring it. We will work on our game. Okay, so thank you so much, and we hope that the next Facebook Live that we will have you on as well. And if you are now joining, just as we are about to leave it, my name is Dr. Sarah Modi, and this is Pearl Selome, a registered dietitian nutritionist who is so passionate about what she does. She speaks so well about it, she practices so well, and she will be here again. So make sure that you stay around. You follow us on Facebook, and then you will find her when she has another event with us. Thank you.
Thank you.